All right, this shouldn't be too long. Try and keep it simple. Consistency. A lot of people you see, they'll have these great big aspirations, and I've fallen foul of it. These massive aspirations. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other, I'm going to be fantastic at everything, and then they just don't do it. Because in their kind of process to do that, they don't consider their consistency. They overestimate the amount of time they can actually dedicate towards their goals. You see it all the time. I myself have fallen foul of it. I was booked in for a powerlifting competition in January. That ain't gonna happen. And it was because I couldn't keep consistency. So of course, I moved. I've moved up to London now, and I'm very glad of the opportunity. But over the time I've been here so far, I was supposed to bulk up to about 77, 78 kilos. I've dropped down to 69. I weighed in this morning at 69.5. That's better than I have been because I didn't anticipate how big of a change it would be, and I booked that competition. I was too prospective with the time frame, and in my workout plan, I didn't give myself enough time to recover from the change. So I'm now still feeling the effects of it, even though I've been up here for just over 2 months now. And you see it all the time. For me, it hasn't been as bad because I did somewhat expect it to happen. And I did somewhat account for it in how my meal plan was going to be and how my training was going to be. I knew it wasn't going to be as easy. However, there were some things I didn't expect at all. I've moved gym twice, but each time it's been different, and each time it's caused more problems and more kind of fractures within my training. So I haven't been able to keep the consistency I'd like. But you see online these accounts, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to duet these fitness videos until I'm ripped. And they'll do that for 150 days, 200 days, 300 days, however long. And then at the end of those days, they'll forget about it and they'll look exactly the same. And that is because they are not keeping consistency within their routines. You can't just, with health and fitness on the whole, you can't just go along, a couple times a week. It's just not that simple. You have to be consistent across every factor. So you have to have, in my case, I was wrong. I would go to the gym 5 times a week and I would lift heavy. I would then plateau very easily. I had terrible cardio fitness that I'm still struggling with that a lot. My meals were just terrible. I was eating my mother's foods. There's not much I could do. But I could have made my own food. I could have made an effort in that respect, and I just didn't. Thinking, oh yeah, I'll just lift heavy stuff and it will fix it. And it didn't. Surprise, surprise. And you see it very often. It's because people aren't being consistent across everything. And it is a very difficult thing to do, I will admit. As I've proved time and time again. However, with proper effort put into it, it can be done. And the proper effort it requires actually isn't that much. It's nowhere near as much as people think. All you have to do is be disciplined with yourself. You have to, when you have, for instance, in dieting, you have a craving, you say, oh yeah, no, I want to eat this, but it's not in my diet and I haven't accounted for it. There's 2 ways you can do it. There's 3 ways actually, sorry. 1, you can eat it and pretend it didn't happen. That'll have knock-on effects. Yeah, okay, if it's just, the occasional little snack here and there, it won't have a massive effect. But if you let it happen once, it can get out of control. If it gets out of control, you can end up in a much worse position. You can actually end up just going straight up backwards. Number 2, you do it properly. You think, okay, I need to not have this. I need to limit myself. I need to, if I am going to have it, I need to have very small amounts of it. And I need to kind of be aware of it. Perfectly fair. That is self-discipline. But I just don't think that's the right way of doing it. That's the way you see a lot of kind of these health and well-being professionals talking about. And I just don't think that's quite right. Of course, I'm no professional myself. I say that I have a literal bowl of chocolate right there. However, I think a better way of looking at it, instead of just, I shouldn't have this, is I can have this, but I have to make up for it in some other direction. So yes, I have a bowl of chocolates. It's on my desk all the time. However, I don't buy bars of chocolates. I don't drink very much. In my kind of day-to-day food, I'll try and keep it healthy to balance that out. And in my training, I've started to, all my warm-ups are now cardio-based. I do a lot of rowing. And I'm starting to get some quite good times. I did 3 half Ks this morning. 2 of them were under 2 minutes. I'm starting to get quite good with it. And I'm using that to kind of burn off the excess calories I've brought into my diet by having things like a bowl of snacks nearby, by having this heavier food, by having these meals that I crave. I'm just making sure I then account for them so I don't end up worse off in the long run. And a lot of people don't do it. And it's not just in dieting. Good Lord, no. You see it a lot with people's training routines. They'll have an unplanned rest day, and they'll be like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to train twice as hard next. Well, you're actually going too far at that point, because you've given yourself a rest day. There's a reason for that. Either you're not recovered from the last session, or you're injured in some way, or there are some circumstances where things just get in the way, just life gets in the way, you just can't make it. That's okay. In that case, yes, you need to make it up. You need to add in another session on the next rest day or something like that. You need to make it up somehow. But if it's because you're injured, that's not the right way of doing it. Taking a rest day, okay, that's fair. But then saying, oh, I'll train twice as hard next time. No, that's not right at all. What you're going to happen there is you're going to end up overextending yourself, and you're going to cause an even further injury, which isn't something we want to do. In that situation, what you should do is continue going to the gym, but lower your intensity. You still need to work the muscle. You still need to let it grow. You still need to let it build up. However, you need to give it time. That is, I think terms like active recovery or something, where you keep using it just at a lower intensity just to make sure, A, it's still moving, it's not going to seize up on you, and B, it heals properly. Occasionally you'll see people take rest days because they are tired. And I get it. That is absolutely fair. I get it all the time. It's a pain. And that is where you have to discipline yourself. That is when you have to say, okay, I know I'm tired, but I made a goal. I said I would stick to it. Now I have to do that. And that's all you got to do. That's all you got to say to yourself. Look, I said I'd do it. I just got to do it. And yeah, it's not pleasant. No one likes being tired at the gym. It sucks. In those situations, what you can do is then do it, kind of change something. So instead of just doing the same routine over and over again, just change something. It can only be a little thing. Say it's a chest routine. You normally do incline bench. Just change it a little bit. Smith incline bench. Keeps it interesting, and it means that, okay, yeah, you're exhausted, but you're doing a new thing. It's different to the old thing, so it's not repetitive. And I guess by doing it that way, you can link it back to motivation a lot. And by changing that routine slightly, you can rebuild motivation to continue pushing forwards. I struggle a lot with motivation. I'll be honest with you. It's down to a condition. I'm not going to talk about it. But something I've found to really help is just changing the routine a bit. I've moved up here, and now everything's different. I'm using different equipment, different places, different. I have to do different moves. I have to adapt my training a lot, not just because of the equipment I have, but also it takes me 20 minutes just to get there, then 20 minutes to get back. So I have to take my session time, add on the majority of an hour just in travel, and it does get in the way. It means that I can only train a couple days a week, realistically. Weekends I'm pretty secure with, Wednesdays I'm pretty secure with, but any other weekday, that's a big struggle. So I can't be anywhere near as consistent as I used to be, so I have to change my training. I could, just change how I do the movements. I could go further. I could change the movements entirely. Or I can do what I've actually done and change all of it. I'm not, to kind of keep that motivation going, I'm not going to be training powerlifting as such moving forward. I'm going to be kind of doing a more general focus on every muscle group. And there's a couple reasons for this. First of all, it means that scheduling is a lot easier. It means I can be in the gym and get everything done within the limits that I have, within limits in how long I can be there, within limits of when I can get there, that kind of thing. It also means that I have, when I kind of have the opportunity to start focusing again on powerlifting, I have a stronger kind of base across the entire body, across every muscle group. There are certain weak points I'm aware of. Biceps is one of them, forearms is another one. Kind of ironic considering I used to be a climber. And I'm trying to work on those more to bring up my overall strength, and including things like I'm starting climbing again on Mondays and Fridays, which there'll be some videos of that coming soon. I'm, of course, adding the rowing in. I'm trying to do that, not just to keep motivation there, but I also want to just build up a general fitness across the entire body, because it's not just about being massively strong or looking fantastic. You have to have a level of fitness with that, otherwise it's useless. All right, I have rambled enough for one day, so I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, have a wonderful day.